Many South Africans have been baying for the blood of those in positions of leadership. However, ANC NEC member Dakota Lekgoete has published an opinion piece in News 24 stressing the importance of not finding people guilty before legal processes unfold. He said law enforcement should be able to do its work without political interference of settling of political scores. He joins us now live. Good evening, Dakota, and thank you so much for your time tonight. I know that you say you've written this opinion piece in your personal capacity. To what end?
No, thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to thank you and all the viewers at home. Look, to what end is the end of ensuring that we defend our constitution, we defend our democracy, we uphold and respect the stability of our country and our people, because some of these situations, politically, legally, and otherwise, if they are left unattended, they have potential of bringing an unpalatable situation to any country. And you would know, in any democracy, if the three arms of the state fails to uphold and respect the constitution, then what you are left with is the military. And we would not want a situation in this country where there is a need for a military intervention, because as the three arms of the state, or perceived three arms of the state in terms of the constitution, have failed in ensuring that we uphold and respect the constitution. My intention in the article is not to defend any criminal or alleged criminal or any criminal activity. What we are defending in this article is the principle related to innocent until proven guilty, upholding adherence, ethical use of the legal processes of our judiciary and our country. And that's what we are simply trying to achieve in this regard. And we are using just the case of the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Comrade Esma Khashoggi, that these particular charges which are brought about him, they are found wanting in some instances, because he has been charged on behalf of other accused. And that creates a problem, because even in terms of our Criminal Procedure Act processes in the country, there is no way in the Criminal Procedure Act where you have a charge called oversight lapse, because in terms of our Criminal Procedure Act, each and every charge or offense that is alleged to be criminal must be properly defined. And what is the definition of oversight lapse in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act? I mean, if the SG is wrong for any wrongdoing, he must be charged properly like any other citizen, unlike risking the institutions and its integrity, unlike risking the stability of the country, because even so far, we've had people.
All right, it does appear that we have a little bit of a challenge with that particular line to Mr. Lekgoete. We are trying to re-establish a better connection. Mr. Lekgoete, I hope you can hear me better now. The line froze just a bit and we had to interject there. I just wanted to check from what you're saying. Are you suggesting that the NPA's case against the SG is weak?
So far, I can't say that. But what we found very weak from what my analysis that I've done, it's what the state has brought as charges against the SG. Because if you charge somebody of the profile of the Secretary General of the governing party, you need to be sure with your facts, you need to be sure with the procedure of the law, you need to be sure with your case, because such a high-profile person has the potential to divide both the governing party, has the potential to divide the country. And that's not what we would want for our country. So, we want stability for our country. So we want the law and the institutions of the judicial processes to be careful that we do not degenerate to something that we do not expect.
And part of what you say about the NPA in your opinion piece, if you can allow me to read, you say that there seems to be an element of desperation and creative legal mischief bordering on the illogical, in fact, on the illogical and irrational, to charge the SG using any means necessary at all. I just want you first, before I give you what I'm making out of this. What do you mean, if I can give you an opportunity to tell us exactly what you mean by the statement?
What I mean is that at no stage should we create what we call judeocracy, wherein as politicians, either in the executive or elsewhere, when we can't settle our political issues, we then use the judiciary to step in. We have classical examples where even as a nation, because of the popular opinion, that we ended up undermining the standing of the Constitution. I'll make you a classical example. When the former public protector recommended that a judge who would preside over a commission on the state of capture should be appointed by the Chief Justice, that was wrong, because the powers to appoint the chair of a judicial commission is the power granted by the Constitution of the Republic to a sitting president. So we've created a precedent which is illegal that says at any given time, a Chief Justice can appoint a chairperson of a judicial commission, which is wrong in terms of our Constitution, which is wrong in terms of our standing and our judicial process. And I think it's something that we have allowed, but it's water under the bridge that we have allowed somebody that the Constitution did not grant powers to appoint a commission. Now, what becomes very difficult on that particular matter is that it creates an impression that in the panel of our judges, there are judges who can be trusted. In our panel of judges, there are judges who are buddies or lackeys of any sitting president. Now, we have created some doubts in our system, which has set the precedents, which would be wrong for our future. And that's what we need to warn all our institutions on, in particular state institutions, that do not drop the ball, do not allow the integrity of state institutions to be manipulated by any politician. Allow yourselves as the sitting officials to ensure that we uphold, respect the Constitution, including our territorial integrity, as well as our sovereignty.
And if I can ask you a direct question at the back of that, who wants to charge or want to see the SG charged at all costs? Who is this that is using judicial machinery, as you say, to settle political scores that they could not win in the political fight?
Look, you need to understand, this matter is still sub judice, and as it is for now, I'm talking to the state institution, which is a system. I'm not talking to an individual or a person, and that's why I made an example of what we did wrong in the past. It was because of an incumbent president at that time who was not trusted, who was not taken serious. We had to bypass what is in the Constitution to undo the Constitution without following procedure, either amending the Constitution or getting a Concord ruling to that particular effect. And I think those are some of the precedences that we must not allow. Equally, what I'm arguing in this article is that if we say there's a charge of called an oversight lapse, it means we will have to charge every sitting member of the executive, former MEC, minister, president, for whatever that went wrong in the system, be it the PPEs, be it Kusile, be it life demand, and so on and so forth. And I don't think it is correct because it's going to be making it difficult for some of members of the ANC to avail themselves to be in the executive or to serve the country. If we are going to allow wrong precedences to come in, which can create a situation where we bring in charges against whoever was served, and we bring in a precedence that may not be, we may not be able to recover from it going to the future, because we have a precedence now that a Chief Justice can appoint a chairperson of a judicial commission,
so
which is not in the Constitution.
Are you saying, from what you're saying now, are you saying then that those that are not exercising their oversight correctly by virtue of them being in those particular offices must not be held to account, because then it means, as you say, more and more ANC members will have to subject themselves to this?
Look, I'm not saying that those who are wrong or who are in conflict with the law and there is proof to that particular effect must be left out. No, that's what I'm not saying. But there are instances. I will make a classical example of the recent case of Dr. Bandile Masuku. Dr. Bandile Masuku happened to be the MEC for Health in Gauteng. Something happened under his watch through his administration and officials on the PPE scandal. He was sacrificed alone. Where are those officials? They are still there, continue their administrative duties. Nothing has been brought against them, but Bandile Masuku is out. And I don't think it's something that we need to encourage, because we have laws which are very clear. We have the Constitution which is very clear. I mean, there's no MEC or any premier who sits in the supply chain processes. And if we were to bring charges and hold that particular politician accountable, let us use what is provided for in the Constitution. There are three arms of the state, which is the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. The part that has to deal with oversight, it is dealt with through section portfolio committees, in municipalities through section 79 committees, which are responsible to holding the executive accountable. If any of the two cannot agree at any point, then the judiciary comes in. There is no way where oversight responsibility is given to NPA or even to the Hawks, but those who are charged criminally, let them account to those institutions.
And pardon me, we don't have a lot of time, but I also just want to ask you about, this particular point, because you seem to, be making some serious suggestions around the NPA here. You say be careful what you wish for, that next the NPA or any other state institution could target you. When one reads the statement, it looks like the NPA you are suggesting could still be used to fight political battles. Are you suggesting that the head of the NPA has an agenda against the ANC SG?
Look, I have nothing against the head of the NPA. What I'm referring to is principles related to what we expect from our constitution, what we expect from the state institution, that at all times they must uphold and respect the constitution. At no stage should we allow any state institution to bring some frivolous and flimsy charges against anyone with an intention of creating a chaos, with an intention of creating an instability, because you need to understand the charges which were brought against the SG have created a lot of brouhaha, even within our ranks as the ANC, to an extent that an association in our organization threatened with civil disobedience. And I mean, that's a serious thing, and it does happen elsewhere in the world. If you go into history, if we are not going to apply institutions of the law, institutions which are established in terms of our constitution, we are just inviting an unpalatable situation for ourselves. And in this regard, I'm not defending the Secretary General of the ANC. If he has any case to account to of corruption, of malice or malfeasance, the law must take its course, and proper due processes in line with the Bill of Rights in the constitutions needs to be observed. We must not just bring charges for the sake of trying to make each other happy or to celebrate something. It must be for real, and it must be for a good cause.
I can't help but ask you this. Are things so bad within the ANC? Is factionalism so bad, and does it run so deep that if people cannot find each other at the table when they argue politically, that they could use machinery to fight their battles?
Look, I don't want to bring the story of factionalism of the governing party to the administration of law and justice. And that's why in my article I'm trying to advise those who administer law and justice in our country to be beyond reproach, not to find themselves in a clumsy political battles, particularly where it will have to even do wrong things in the name of the law, when actually we are even breaching the oath that we've taken of the Constitution, because the Constitution in our country is the supreme law. It must be upheld, respected by all. If we fail to do that, then we are inviting the army, which is allowed to defend the Constitution, the territorial integrity of our country, as well as our sovereignty. So we must not drop the ball to an extent that we invite that particular sector in our society. We have the capacity to do our best to ensure that we respect institutions of the state, and they must have a proper integrity. They must not be manipulated by either Dakota Lekgoete or anyone who holds a public office or who is a public representative.
Do you trust the NPA?
Even as activists of the ANC, we have the burden of responsibility to ensure that the country runs smoothly, the Constitution is respected by all, not only by the citizens, even by the judiciary.
Do you trust the NPA?
I have every trust in the state institutions. That's why I freely advise that they must uphold, respect the Constitution, and they must ensure that none of us gets to a point of manipulating them. They must do their work without any fear or favor against anybody who's a leader, and the law must apply equally. I mean, that's the latest example is the story of Lucky Montana. We encourage people, including members of the ANC, former CEOs of state-owned enterprises, those who have evidence must approach the Zondo Commission. What we read from his letter is that all of a sudden the Zondo Commission does not accept his evidence. There are others whose evidence is said not to be accepted. That undermines the purpose of a commission that was established to fight corruption and corrupt elements within our system, to ensure that we recoup the taxpayers' money. And I think Zondo Commission, the Secretariat of the Zondo Commission, must reconsider their position if what Lucky Montana is saying in this open letter that he wrote. But equally, let's get everybody, be it the ESCOM story, Brian Molefe, Matsila Koko, let's get all of them to the commission so that they must account. If possible, we can spend another billion to save 2 trillion. That would not be wrong. It will be correct.
And Dakota Lekgoete, there's a final question from me tonight. The ANC, of course, this week, there's a big statement, the January 8th statement. I mean, if there wasn't COVID-19, we'd be seeing different activities taking place, cake cutting, door to door and all of that. But this happens, of course, apart from COVID-19, at a time when there's a lot of reflection that is to be done by the ANC. When you look at, ahead of the January 8th statement, what should the ANC be focusing on in its statement, and also what are some of the issues that need reflection?
Look, we have a pandemic of COVID. I think the president, in his capacity as our leader, he will outline what would be the response and the strategy from us as the ANC, as a governing party related to that particular point. The second point would be on the economic recovery. I have every confidence that the economic recovery as outlined by the president and the cabinet will assist us to recover from the challenges we've had, where more than 3 million South Africans had to lose their jobs as a result of the pandemic. I'm sure we'll get an opportunity where we focus on service delivery issues related to infrastructure development and all other related issues. And I think I will not have all the facts because this is the statement of the president on behalf of the NEC. So the NEC has not so far pronounced itself, but because these are topical issues that we have been discussing in previous NECs, I'm sure they will form part of the statement of the president on behalf of all of us. The president will outline the statement on behalf of the National Executive Committee and all provinces and regions and countries of the NEC and our alliance partners and South Africans. And I think because it's virtual, all of us throughout the country will get an opportunity to sit on our screens and listen to the message of the president on behalf of the National Executive Committee. I have every confidence in his leadership and hope that his address will give hope to the nation.
All right. Thank you so much for your time tonight. We do appreciate it. That's Dakota Lekgoete, who is an ANC NEC